Welcome to The Parent Thing. Hi, I'm Taryn, your host, and I'm so excited you're here. This is the space where we uncover the incredible potential of childhood, parenting, and the power of neurosomatic intelligence. Whether you're a parent, teacher, caregiver, or someone who deeply impacts a child's life, this podcast is your guide to nurturing emotional resilience, fostering growth, and building meaningful connections. Together, we'll explore cutting-edge insights, practical tools, and heartfelt stories to empower you in shaping the next generation. Join me each week as we dive into strategies, science, and stories that inspire and transform. Let's reimagine what's possible for the children we care about and for ourselves. Now, let's begin this inspiring journey together. Hello, and welcome back to The Parent Thing, podcast where we dive into the science of parenting, child development, and how you can create a thriving environment for your kids. I'm Taryn, your host, and today we'll be tackling a big topic that often gets overlooked but is absolutely foundational to how our children experience the world: sensory processing. This episode is called Sensory Processing 101, helping kids thrive in a world of sensory input. And trust me, once you understand how sensory processing works, you'll start to see your child's behaviors, challenges, and strengths through a whole new lens. So grab a cup of tea, get comfy, let's dive in. So, what exactly is sensory processing? Let's start with the basics. Sensory processing is how our nervous system takes in information from the environment. This is what we call the input, and our bodies makes sense of it. We call this the interpretation of the input, and then responds, which we call the output. So I'm just going to say that again without my parentheses. Sensory processing is how our nervous system takes in all the information from the environment and how our bodies make sense of it and then responds. We often think of the 5 senses: sight, sound, touch, taste, and smell. But actually, there are 8 sensory systems. So we've got our vision, which is what we see. We've got our auditory, which is what we hear. We've got our olfactory, which is smell. We've got our gustatory system, which is what we taste. We've got the tactile system, where we interpret touch, texture, and temperature. Then we have our vestibular system, which is for balance and movement. We have our proprioceptive system, which is body awareness and knowing where our body is in space. And then we have interoception. These are our internal signals like hunger, thirst, bathroom needs, or even emotional states. When sensory processing is smooth, kids can adapt, pay attention, and learn. But when it's tricky, when their brain is either overwhelmed or under-responsive, it can look like bad behavior. And I'm using bad behavior in air quotes, when actually it's just a nervous system trying to cope. I was at Disneyland this weekend, and during the parade, I just happened to be standing next to a family who had a little girl in a stroller. When the music started getting loud, I heard the little girl screaming. So before her screaming, I actually didn't notice who I was standing next to. But when the music started and the parade was just about to get going, I heard her screaming like so loud. And when I looked down, I saw that she had noise cancelling headphones on her, which tells me that her parents are aware that she gets overstimulated, and the noise cancelling headphones are used to kind of inhibit the influx of sensory stimulation that she would get in a setting like that. So it took a little bit of time for them to calm her down, but eventually she was okay. She didn't really pay attention to the parade, but they were aware that when something is too loud or too busy or too stimulating for her, that could be an overstimulation. Another example with proprioceptive systems is, as a kindergarten teacher and having done it for so many years, when I have children in class that are struggling to grasp certain things or have trouble walking without bumping into somebody or turning on time to avoid knocking into another kid in the class. It is so often, so often with issues like this, I can pinpoint children who did not crawl enough before walking. And crawling, I've got a whole podcast, like one of my earlier podcasts on that, how important it is for a child to crawl, how important it is for their development. But for spatial awareness and the proprioceptive system, for a child to be able to know where their body is in space, and we need that as adults too. Now let's talk about what sensory differences look like in real life. Some children are sensory seekers. They crave more input, so you'll see them jumping on furniture, crashing into things, making loud noises, wanting hugs that feel like squeezes. Other kids are sensory avoiders. They get overwhelmed easily, so you'll see them doing things like covering their ears at loud sounds, refusing to wear certain clothes because the tags itch, melting down in crowded places, struggling with unexpected touches. And then some kids have a mix depending on which system we're talking about. What I do need to note here, which is very important, is that this is not just for kids with diagnoses like ADHD, autism, or sensory processing disorder. Every child has a unique sensory profile, even with different diagnoses. There are no two nervous systems that are alike. And as parents, understanding that profile is like having the instruction manual you wish your child came with. All right, let's bring in a little neuroscience, and don't worry, I'm going to make this as easy as possible to follow. The brain's job is to filter input. At any given moment, our senses are bombarded with data, lights, sounds, textures, smells, internal cues. If the brain can't filter well, it either lets too much in, which leads to overwhelm, or it filters too much out, which leads to under-responsiveness. This is directly connected to the nervous system's regulation. A regulated nervous system can handle input, process it, and then respond appropriately. A dysregulated nervous system reacts with fight, flight, or freeze, any one of the F responses. That is why sensory processing is deeply tied to behavior, emotional regulation, and learning. Okay, let's get practical. Here are some ways you can support your child's sensory needs. Number one, you can observe and map your child's sensory profile. So notice what sets them off and what calms them. Do loud noises cause distress? Do they chew constantly? Take note of it, write it down. Patterns will emerge. Number two, create a sensory friendly environment for them. So, like for sensory seekers, give them safe ways to crash, jump, spin, chew. Think of like trampolines, chewable jewelry, heavy blankets, that kind of thing that will give them the sensory input that they are looking for. For sensory avoiders, you can do things like reducing overwhelming stimuli. So, like noise cancelling headphones, softer fabrics, calm corners at home, trying to avoid taking them to places that could overwhelm them, or where it is unavoidable, bringing them home to a calm space that will regulate them again. Number three, you can build sensory breaks into the day. So instead of waiting for meltdowns, proactively schedule sensory input. Maybe a walk after school, swinging for a couple of minutes, deep pressure, big hugs, weighted blankets, that kind of thing. Number four, you can teach your children self-awareness. You can help them name what they are feeling. So you can use phrases like, your body seems a little squirmy. Do you need to move? Or your ears look bothered. Do you need some headphones? This builds emotional intelligence and self-regulation. I will also add here that this is one of the reasons that I've stepped out of the classroom for a little while. I find that in the school system, the expectations, or at least at the school that I taught at, the expectations of the children were so impossible, expecting them to be still and attentive for majority of the day. And when I did give room for wiggles and movement and talking, I was reprimanded more than one time when it wasn't time for them to sit down. And yeah, I could go into that in and talk about it forever, but I actually needed a break from the system because I didn't feel like it was for the kid at all. Number 5 is to partner with teachers. If your child struggles at school, share their sensory profile with the teacher. Ask for flexible seating, fidgets, movement breaks, time to calm down, time for quiet, whatever their sensory profile is. Work with the teacher to provide that need for your child. This is key. When we reframe bad behavior as sensory needs, everything changes. Instead of, he's so hyper, he never sits still, try, his vestibular system is seeking movement. How can I give him that input in a safe way? Instead of saying, she refuses to wear clothes without a fight, try reframing it and saying, her tactile system is sensitive. Let's find fabrics that work for her body. This shift reduces shame and it increases connection and it helps you parent with empathy. So, today we covered the basics of sensory processing, how it shows up in kids, the science behind it, and practical tools to support your child. Here's what I want you to remember. Every child has a unique sensory fingerprint. When you learn to understand this, you unlock calmer days, stronger connections, and a thriving child. If this episode resonated with you, I'd love for you to take the next step. Head over to the link in my show notes and download my Calm Parent Starter Kit. It's packed with simple tools and strategies to help you support your child's nervous system and create more peace at home. It also helps you to support your own nervous system. If you enjoyed this episode, please hit subscribe, share it with a friend, and leave a review. It really helps other parents find this podcast. Thank you so much for listening to The Parenting. I'll see you next time, where we'll keep exploring the beautiful, sometimes messy, but always meaningful journey of parenting.
Thank you for tuning into The Parenting. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you have any questions, feedback, or